are, friends, for another A Drink from Upstream. Thanks for joining me. And in today's episode, I want to draw out a lesson that is almost overlooked from the sermon that I presented last week. And it's something that I wasn't really able to get into in the sermon, but thought it was worth considering. So in the scene, it's the tail end of Matthew 15, where Jesus is with predominantly a Gentile group of people, and he's trying to teach his disciples about his heart for all people. So he has no limit to his reach, no restrictions in his heart, and his compassion is stretched out to the Gentile people, the nations of the world, really. And so in this scene, it's very similar to a scene that played out in Matthew 14 with the feeding of the 5,000, but this is the feeding of the 4,000. The feeding of the 5,000 was predominantly a Jewish group, and this one now, the feeding of the 4,000, is a Gentile crowd. And so the disciples have a lot to learn here. They've got to take in the heart of Christ. And so if you remember from the feeding of the 5,000, the day has gotten to the end. The disciples and Jesus have been ministering to the crowd for quite some time. They're tired, and they go to Jesus and they speak up and they say, "Lord, it's the end of the day. We're in this kind of remote place. Everybody's tired. Why don't you go ahead and send the people away so that they can go get some food for themselves?" And then Jesus responds to what they're suggesting, and he says, no, you give them something to eat. Well, in this scene in Matthew 15, we see something different take place. So Jesus is ministering to the crowd, healing and likely teaching as well, and they now have been with him 3 days, and a similar scene plays out. They have nothing to eat. And he calls the disciples to him, and he speaks first, not allowing them to present the supposed coming solution of send the crowds away so they can go get food for themselves. And I think this is the overlooked lesson. Friends, we often come to Jesus, and we come to him rightly so, because we know he cares about us. We know he's our good shepherd. But when we go to him, we typically speak first. We have something to say. We have a solution to present. We have a request to make, etc., right? And here's my suggestion to you. When you face a dilemma, a crisis, when you need something in prayer, when you find yourself just in your daily routines of prayer, would you let Jesus speak first? Just be quiet long enough to let him minister to you before you say anything. I think it's a really good practice. It's a difficult practice, that's for sure, but that's the lesson today. Let Jesus speak first. When you come to him in prayer, when you feel his prompting by his Spirit to draw you away, and just let him speak first. So that's the lesson of the day, friends. And happy Thanksgiving.